You would probably work with, someone like me, one of the Art Support Australia team, to help you devise a strategy about how you might raise the remainder. So, for example, you might go and seek a small number of large gifts from some supporters. But in terms of, what that means practically is how do you actually work out what's realistic? So we have some guides. They're not rock solid formulas. I keep re-emphasising that because I don't want anyone to come back and say, I used your formula from your presentation and I couldn't raise the amount that I wanted to on crowdfunding. So these are literally just guides to help you on your journey about how much is realistic to raise. So if you aggregate all of the people that you know through email contacts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever networks that you're part of, if you aggregate all of them together, and you estimate that, say, 10% of those people may actually back your project with money. If you estimate then that they may, on average, give you about $50, that can give you a rough guide about what may be feasible through crowdfunding. So if we look at me, I've got about 1,300 friends, which Elliot thinks is pathetic, but I'm really proud of. I've got about 600 Facebook friends, about 200 Twitter followers, 500 email contacts. They may or may not be amplified or embellished for the purpose of this presentation. 10% of them, if 10% of them give me money and they give me an average of $50, then I'm looking at something like $6,500 to raise from crowdfunding. So obviously it's a guide. Things like, the variables which play into that are things like whether I know people who have a lot of sway in my network who can help push it out to their network. So, bringing someone like Elliot on to help publicise the campaign for me. Things like, how hard I'm going to work on it, the time of year, all that sort of stuff. Another way to look at it is looking at, if you've got this non-negotiable budget, working out how many people you might be looking to raise that from, and then that will give you an indication of how much you need per person. So again, if I'm trying to raise $10,000 and I've got 130 people to raise that from, what that means is that I probably need about $77 per person, which, if you remember from the previous formula, is a higher average than what people are giving through crowdfunding. So what that means is that I need to work pretty hard, and it also means that I need to do things to get that percentage of my database higher. So it might be things like making the ask more personal, but definitely making sure that I get it out to a high proportion of my database so that I can have more people respond to it.
Okay, so the reason that this is important, that you know what your budget is and what you might be able to raise through crowdfunding, is to be able to help you set a realistic target. I think it's probably one of the most common